I know what you're thinking. Twitchy Tango? What blasphemy is this? The RE1 HD remaster is perfect. How dare you slander its good name? Hey, listen, I get it. Believe me, I think it's so good. Whether it's pre-rendered background, the fixed camera angles, the separate campaigns, the much harder difficulty. When I say I am washed, I was dying by the most stupid of things. Like, believe me, I am not built for it anymore. I the limited inventory space, the additional modes like Real Survivor, Invisible Enemies, and of course new additions like Lisa Trevor's entire story arc and the terrifying Crimson Heads, complete overhauls of the entire mansions, improvements to certain boss fights and areas like King Neptune, Yawn, Planet 42, uh, and far better character designs and far better voice acting. I think it's the best remaster Capcom has ever created. And having played through it very recently, I kind of wanted to talk about it. I think it does a lot of good. I think it's better than RE2, RE3, and RE4 remake. It's the standard at which we should hold remakes and remasters forever. Uh, but as I was blindly stumbling through Chris's campaign and Jill's, there's a lot of issues I want not really a lot, but stuff I noticed about this beautiful remake, beautiful remaster that I kind of want to talk about today. So let's talk about how Resident Evil 1 is almost perfect.
There are only 3 S.T.A.R.S members left now. Captain Wesker, Jill, and myself.
You know, there's a lot I love about this game, and I could rant and rave about how it's the best remake ever, but I do have a few slight criticisms I'd like to lob at it. And that is, of course, one I'm gonna get skewered for is Rebecca Chambers. Everybody loves Rebecca. I know I do. She's most definitely one of the most underutilized characters in the entire franchise, and but she is a main character nonetheless. And Capcom really doesn't know what to do with her because in Zero she seems to handle herself pretty well. She handles all sorts of bioweapons, uh, notwithstanding a few heavy hitters. And it's just crazy that we go from 0 to 1 like that. Her companion, of course, is a very certain character that very clearly died in the Orkney Mountains or became Nemesis, of course. I kid, he's not Nemesis. He's definitely not. Or is he?
You're with stars.
I have to get that joke in because there's a joke about Billy throughout the years that he died in the Orkney Mountains. He's secretly Nemesis, which is why I use the him saying stars and Nemesis saying stars, you know, to really lay in the joke. It's just crazy to me. I mean, much like some of our characters have been written into a hole, they have had really no room to change. Our dear Stars rookie Rebecca has suffered that same fate. Like I mentioned with Zero, she seems to be very capable of handling zombies, from the mundane to the more terrifying, like the Hunter, or the totally not bad enemies that are very easy to handle. The Eliminators just get good, to bigger, more terrifying BOWs like the prototype Tyrant, to the big boss at the end, the Leech Queen. But when we meet her in Chris's campaign, it's almost like none of that happened. We first meet Rebecca in 1. She's huddling over our wounded good guy Richard, and she tasks us with getting some medicine to help him. And of course we do, and Chris gets poisoned. And if Chris gets poisoned fighting on, we have to run all the way back to the medicine storage room as Rebecca to get said medicine again to save him. And of course, she isn't simply useless in Chris' campaign. She can heal Chris several times, and if Richard does ultimately die because we don't save him, she can help Chris with Planet 42 by making the Vigil and showcasing her skills as the only one and only S.T.A.R.S medic. But again, it's always bothered me how even if Billy fights every boss, there's even achievements for Rebecca fighting every boss. She's still fighting a multitude of bioweapons. If anything, she should be more prepared for the mansion than Chris or Jill. But of course, she's not the main character. Our heroes, Jill and Chris, need to be the main stars. Yes, that is intended of the show. When these games originally came out, I did play them more. I played them all the way back over 20 years ago. And yes, that's some whiplash. I'm in fact an ancient millennial. I'm one of the elder millennials. That's just how it is. I completed Zero hoping to see what carried over into the remake, and when I finally played through Chris's campaign, because I played Jill's first, and met Rebecca, I was taken aback by how different she was from Zero. Rebecca from Zero stood in the face of horror and was victorious, but this Rebecca seemed to be complete polar opposite. Of course, we must protect her at all costs. Just look at her. Of course, she's not a damsel in distress, but her time in Zero and immediately going into one is jarring, to say the least. Which is kind of what I did with this. Is I played through Zero, then I played through one. No, I wasn't expecting her to be like Rambo, but I was hoping she would be at least consistent to agree. Of course, not to overshadow Chris, but to be able to handle herself much better than she does in the portrayal we got of her. Again, I know this is an opinion everyone will agree with, but it's one of those inconsistent things that as the more I played through one and I played through Zero, the more it bothered me. And again, that's just my opinion. Rebecca's a great character. It seems like Capcom really doesn't know what to do with her, and I hope they really make her shine more like they did in Death Island, being able to save our heroes. That's enough about Miss Rebecca Chambers. Let's go farther and deeper into our favorite mansion. I know, blasphemy all over Resident Evil HD Remake, but if there's one thing I love about the original, it's kind of how non-linear it is in the early game. Like, the reason I bring up that is because in the original RE1, you can kind of get the first 3 keys in any order, even if you're not really prepared for it. Don't get me wrong, I think RE1 HD Remake is fantastic. It's the standard to which we should always hold remakes. But despite all it does very well, it does feel like this remake takes a lot of the fun of exploring and uncovering the mysteries of the mansion and make it feel shallow in comparison to what came before. Yes, we get puzzles like the hand cannon puzzle that give us access to the hand cannon. Yes, we get new puzzles like Neptune and things like the Skull Mask for the original Crimson Head and a myriad of other great choices. But we start our journey into the definitive soul from the start, and we're set on a path from the beginning to end without really, it doesn't feel like there's any deviation from it. It's very much on a linear set path. The original RE1 felt like you could just kind of explore and get your keys at separate times and work on that. And again, there's nothing wrong with that, but I like when games sort of go beyond. Again, you could go wherever you please. You may not have the means to defend yourself, but from the get-go, it has you going on a very linear path from the moment you enter. And again, sometimes remakes or remasters will sacrifice something while improving on other aspects. And while it sacrifices non-linearity, what it gives us is something truly remarkable, and that's survival horror personified. I think it sometimes suffers without linearity, but it more than makes up for it with additions such as the original Crimson Head, the Lisa Trevor, or that very anxiety-inducing Neptune puzzle. It offers a lot in terms of what it sacrifices, which is why I tend to love it more than, say, a remake for 2, 3, or 4, because of what it gives in return of the minor things that it sacrifices. Sure, it's not as non-linear as the original one, but what it makes up for it in that regard. If there's one thing I love is when games give us a lot of choices to make the events of the game ending in a multitude of ways, and boy does RE1 HD Remake and the original got that in spades. Jill and Chris have the same amount of endings, both between the both of them, and it gives you so much replayability. And it's its own thing I love is a lot is more reasons to play. There's the worst ending where only Jill and Chris are the only survivors and the mansion isn't destroyed. There is the ending where you save Chris, Jill, and the mansion is destroyed, but you don't save Rebecca, Barry. And then there's the best ending where you save Rebecca and Barry. But there's a lot of deviations with those endings. Chris's ending, best ending, I think is only the best ending. I think it's actually both. All his endings is the only endings where Wesker is impaled by the tyrant and becomes the Wesker we know in the later series. With Jill's ending, he gets shot by Barry and escapes. So it's it's kind of very weird. It's very, you have to suspend belief that both these things happen where both Rebecca and Barry survived and we all leave together. Again, it offers much to the player, but it felt weird. Is the best endings for our heroes. In both endings, our partner character size, that's Barry, Rebecca. But in Jill's campaign, there is no Rebecca, and likewise in Chris's campaign, there isn't Barry. But like I said, it's got different canon endings. Whereas Chris, like I said, Chris's campaign, Wesker gets impaled by the tyrant and ultimately gets born alive by bonding with the virus. In Jill's ending, he's shot by Barry and escapes. It's kind of weird. I guess with Chris's campaign, we can assume Barry died outside the mansion, and in Jill's campaign, I guess say Rebecca never made it to the mansion, which it's hard to say what is or isn't the true ending, as both endings are missing characters that will also explain why we see them years later. It's also to the point that without Rebecca and Billy's intervention as the Leech Queen, the events of 1 and by extension the rest of the Resident Evil franchise goes very differently, because Rebecca has to kill the Leech Queen. They have to take it out or it just spells doom for everyone. It's just very strange how they did this, and I hope an eventual Resident Evil remake will change that up. Of course, thanks to the modding community, you get to see everyone surviving, so the best ending involves such as an awesome moment where Rebecca, Barry, Jill, and Chris all get to bully that weirdo Wesker's supposed ultimate life form to its ultimate end and leave together. You see, for RE1 to make any sense, our characters Rebecca and Barry, like I said, have to show up several years later. They have to survive the mansion. But Jill's ending only has Chris and Barry. Likewise, Chris's ending only has Jill and Rebecca surviving its destruction. I don't know if one of those things similar to Becca, where more thought should have been put into it, but there's no sense crying over spilled milk. I love this remake. It's perfect almost, but those issues fail in comparison and to a lot of what has plagued Resident Evil for years. But maybe we'll talk about that some other time. I think Resident Evil 1 HD remake is perfect. These are kind of minor nitpicks, if you will, about what I think stops it from being truly perfect. You can say you have issues with it. I mean, I tend to hold it as the standard for remasters and remakes. As the standard of how you should remake or remaster a game, because it elevates one to a much grander status. It makes the mansion feel alive. The pre-rendered backrooms are amazing. The improvements to areas like the entire section with Neptune is a massive overhaul. Enemies look more terrifying. The introduction of Lisa Trevor is so heartbreaking. The introduction of more terrifying zombies, Crimson Heads, are next level. It just offers so much as a franchise as a whole, which is why I can never badmouth this game truthfully. These are nitpicks, these are minor criticisms, but I think these minor criticisms tend to hold me back from really appreciating. Sure, I can get over the fact that Rebecca's completely different from her Zero counterpart. Sure, I can get over the fact that the endings don't make sense, or that's just feels way too linear. But then again, it's Resident Evil. I always say you should be allowed to criticize the things you love, and that's case in point how I feel about Resident Evil. Like, I want to criticize it. Heck, one of my favorite games ever is Resident Evil 6, and people tend to crap all over it, and I don't care. But I feel like you cannot have a healthy relationship with something you love if you don't criticize it. And that's just kind of it for me today, folks. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any criticisms about one or its remake, let me know. I want to hear from you. If you have any issues with, Resident Evil in general, let me know. And I want to hear from you. I want to hear your thoughts. What do you not like about the remakes? What do you not like about RE1 HD Remastered or remake? What are the issues you have with Resident Evil Whole? I want to hear about it. I've got plans for other videos. I think my next video after this one will be talking about how Capcom doesn't really know what to do with certain characters. It should be a good one, and I hope you'll be ready for it. But that's the end of the video, folks. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit that like button. Helps your boy get into the algorithm. If you're feeling super generous, maybe, just maybe, consider subscribing and turning on notification bells. But that's it. That's the video. I love you all. I'll see you all in the next one. Take it easy.